Hey, how's it going? Well, I'm basically blinded by this light. Um, so I just wanted to say a few things about how I was feeling the past couple of days, and I now can assume that probably everybody else was also feeling some kind of whacked out, messed up. Hold on a second. There, that's better. I had to clean my glasses. So, I just wanted to talk about how, like, the past couple of days I was feeling some stuff, and if I'm just gonna be honest with you, every time something emotional happened, and I just felt like I was not in control of stuff, my emotions, and always the world, like, there's no controlling it. Oh, I mean, there is, sort of. Hold on. Here, look at my signs, just to be on the safe side. So I just was feeling a general feeling of displacement, like I was not assembled well. Like my petals, they keep falling off. They weren't, like, things were not firmly attached, not all the way latched down. Is that making sense? Like, I just kind of felt like not tethered, like I was just gonna fly uncontrollably off into something. So I talked about this. It was, especially yesterday, kind of like a constant struggle to maintain just sort of a level sense of that wasn't the right way to say that. I just didn't feel smooth. I felt all rumpled up and misshapen and subject to, I don't know, high winds or something, like a balled up piece of paper. I don't know. It was a mess. And the thing is one of the reasons I started doing this was because I was encouraged to share my thoughts about this stuff and my feel, like, what I was going through. So that's like what I'm doing. But yesterday, or past 2 days, I didn't really realize what was happening was basically like an ascension symptom kind of thing. And definitely I've been having those, like, not a kind of a thing, ascension symptom, like, it's been a constant in my life, but it has just been insane the past week or so. I have been so congested, and I hear it in so many people's voices on everywhere, wherever they've been recorded and the image is being played on. People sound like they have, their noses are stuffed. And well, that's an ascension symptom. But I've always had like a sinus issue, and it wasn't even that I was in a particularly allergic area when I was a kid, or, you know, I left LA when I was in my early 20s. Kind of bounced back and forth, but that's where I grew up. And if I stayed in town in, like, Hollywood or LA where I lived, there's not much growing, like, plant life around. It's very, like, hypoallergenic, I would say. The flowers are pretty much decorative, and it's grass, and there's just wasn't a lot of stuff that I wasn't allergic to anything. And I don't know that I knew people that were allergic the way I do where I live now, where there's all kinds of stuff growing and blowing pollen and fluffs and all kinds of crap. But so yeah, I've been feeling that. My eyes have been, like, I don't know, almost teary, at least constantly a little bit wet, which, I don't know, I just want to constantly be cleaning my eyes. And the congestion is insane. Like right now, I have it pretty bad. This side of my nose, this nostril, there's like no air getting in there, or it's negligible. So I noticed, because I always watch my playbacks, I noticed how difficult a time I've been having breathing, because particularly when I'm reading something, I'm trying to, especially if I'm just reading it cold, I'm trying to read it so that it makes sense, and that's kind of why I have to back up and repeat things, because it comes out sounding not right. But I noticed that, and I'm sure when I watch the playback I'm gonna just be doing it this time too, but breathing, every time I say a little something, like every sentence I'm taking a huge gasp of air. And I noticed in one video it was all mouth breathing, and I thought, that's maybe not as attractive as it could be. So the next day I was a little more conscious of trying to restrict breathing to my nose where it's supposed to happen. And I had a little difficulty maintaining that posture because I couldn't get enough in. So, big gasp of air there. And I quit smoking tobacco in 2014, but apparently I smoked way too much, and that was probably the drugs and alcohol. It's kind of the three go together: tobacco, the cigarettes, and the drugs and the alcohol. Wow. There's like a delayed reaction thing happening on this while I'm filming right now. That's kind of freaky. Anyway, maybe maybe the world is glitching. Anyway, yeah, I don't want to get sidetracked into that business. But yeah, so I quit smoking in 2014, but I never, well, no, I shouldn't say I never stopped smoking pot. I never stopped smoking it permanently. And I know people hate, oh, don't call it pot. Well, sorry, that's how I grew up hearing it. Also weed, also dope. Like, come on, it has a million names. There's no need to be, like, making lanes that people have to stick to with stuff, because that's certainly not how the world works. But yeah, I didn't pick up on the fact that, there's lots of change happening in the world right now. I tend to focus on stuff in America because that's what I can speak to and, like, be the most, like, I know my country. I know what's going on here better than I can talk about any other country. So that's, stick to what you know. Kind of trying to do that. And that all of that friction and tensions created that are happening between people, and it kind of, it's weird in this country, the things that are like abrading us. Like, we have the sort of citizens versus the law enforcement situations, which you can find so many videos of just terrible interactions between the law enforcement and people just whatever doing stuff. And the police really have a chip on their chin. Oh my God, they're so touchy, and they don't know the laws, and that has come out and can be seen because there's all these people out there doing audits. There's Audit the Audit and Long Island Audit, and Long Island Audit is the first one I started watching, and that guy is just trying to illustrate how just trying to do a simple thing that you're lawfully allowed to do can get you in trouble temporarily. But see, the thing is what he's doing is illustrating that citizens suffer when the police don't know the law themselves. I think that's what's going on. That's what I'm getting out of it. But he'll go, Well, you go look. Long Island Audit or Audit the Audit, that's a couple of them. But then the other day, I saw, I don't remember the name of the channel, but it's a legal channel. I just started watching it, just like turned up in my feed. But the thing that I saw first was a deposition that this lawyer was taking of these two police officers, and he was basically questioning them on arrests they had made where they had totally violated the law themselves. They're like jumping all down people's throats because people said things to them, and they don't seem to know the law, that citizens are allowed by law. We have the right to talk shit to the cops. And I know that's hard. Like, I would not do well in a job where I had to take crap all day, although I have had that job many times. I just didn't have any authority, and I didn't have any weapons. Not that I felt the need to hit anybody. Well, maybe a couple of a coworker or two, but not a customer. I'm not an idiot. I want the job. Like, the customer does have to be right, because that is just the way things are set up. And those were the kind of jobs that I took because I was either at an age that that's the job that I was going to get regardless of what I wanted, or what came to be the case later, which was I don't want more responsibility. Like, if this is the guff I have to put up with, is like customers acting stupid, which they were not anywhere near as stupid as they are today. My God, they're frightening. So glad I don't work in retail or at all, to be honest. But the trade-off for me, though, that I get to not work, I get to also be in not great health. So don't take what I just said with a little bit of salt, because it's not all gravy. But it's pretty good. Anyway, these two officers apparently had like roughed up some people, and like taken them into handcuffs and done things. Like, they have a lot of procedures, and gosh, you can see it all the time. But I'm just sticking to this one, and if I can find it again, I will link it to this video. But the man, I mean, I'm sorry, but these officers were so dumb. One was an older man, and he was so arrogant, and I guess so used to doing what he was doing and not having to regard whether it was the law or correct or the right thing to do. He was just in authority, and he just knew he could basically boss people around. And then that's not good, because then when a citizen asserts their right to talk shit to a cop and the cop jumps all over them, if they don't kill them, then they're going to have a good case for a court. Because I don't understand why it keeps happening that the police will do something that looks insane and sounds insane, doesn't seem lawful, is totally violent and like uncalled for in most cases. It's like they're already on the edge of like, just say one thing and I'll knock the crap out of you. Like, that's, I don't know if police understand. I know, because they think they're in so much danger, and they're in danger, definitely. But they knew the job was dangerous when they took it. Like, you can't turn into a rough, tough cream puff in the middle of it and then start attacking the people that can't meet you on a level footing. Like, you have authority, you have weapons, you have your unions that protect you guys from, I mean, they won't call it murder, but that's what it is. They kill a lot of people that should have due process. They should have their right to due process, and they don't live to enjoy that. And it's because the cop it's like they don't even care about laws anymore. They just know that they're like Judge Dredd. They are the law. They are the litigator and the prosecutor and the executioner all in one. And that is not our system. And so it's a lot disturbing that municipalities have such shoddy hiring practices, and why aren't more municipalities insisting that they do? Because a lot of them are getting the funds sued out of their, county. They're having to pay millions of dollars. Little places that they don't have that much to spare, and some places, because they're not disciplining or just plain firing and or like arresting the police themselves, they end up costing a lot of money. So this is not just bad police work and bad police. It goes up. It gets rottener going up. Why are they letting this happen? Do they agree with going out and just beating on people? And it's not even just like, that they're black or Latino. There's no discretion anymore. It's just whoever they decide is under their skin that day. And if you have that job, I would say that it is not the safest thing to be going out with your authority and your weapons with stuff under your skin. Like, you need to be able to you need to clear that. Like, that's insane. So a lot of this stuff happens with with say-so. They're just like, okay, that happened, and I'm just wondering when it's gonna reach like the end of this, because if they do get rid of the bad cops, it seems like they just hire more of the same type, and so it's gonna add up, is what I'm saying. And then what's gonna happen? Who's gonna lose out? Then they're gonna have like crappy town services, crappy school. All of the municipal operations are gonna suffer. The money is gonna cut. It's gonna get cut if they they hire the bad guys and then they don't get rid of them, or if they do, they hire more. That's a bad business model. But that, I think, is part of a larger problem, and that is capitalism. Because it's not, I don't think, what it was claimed to be. Maybe, I don't know when the time was that we weren't using it specifically, but I think, like everything, as time goes on, it evolves. And capitalism has evolved in the worst ways and has contributed to not like disciplining our worst impulses. And it's gotten so to the point, so much, it's just so out of proportion how money became more than people, acquiring it at any cost, at anyone's oh my God, what is the phrase? Well, it's hurting people, and it's hurting the people that have nothing to do with the person making the most money, that has the influence and power over a town, a company, a police force, organizations, to set the tone. Are you going to be humane to humans? Or are you going to treat them all like insignificant things to be gotten rid of, pests to be killed, or, whatever it is, just something that you just don't give a crap about and kind of brush to the side and forget about? But then you're talking about people here. It's been going on for a long time, where somebody has some leverage over you, and it's usually possessions of some type, material gain, but money. It all kind of comes down to that, and we've gotten so. It's like we've braided capitalism into our American patriotism and like everything else. Like, really, it has bled into everything, and it has not made us better people. It's made us stingy, uncaring. Like, you have to coexist with all these other people, And even if you never see someone, they may do something that affects you every day. You know, you may not know that you actually really need this person. And if you're not paying attention to who anybody is and not giving a crap, like, you're not bothering to know who to care about. You're only caring about you and your stuff and your people. And the odd thing about that is that it, like, mutated into, maybe simultaneously with these, like, overt religious beliefs that, well, I guess it's kind of like the same temperament that happened during the Crusades, that I know Muslims are still upset about it, and a lot of people should still be, because those people were insanely violent and also out of control. And what do you think was driving them? Also money, gain, possessions. It's so much more than your stuff. It could be you being possessed. You become the possession. And that's ghost talk, but it could also just be a metaphor for living people talk too, because, I mean, I think many of us don't believe in ghosts. A lot of us understand that they are, in most cases, intangible, and you can't feel anything of them. I mean, you can feel stuff, but you're not going to feel a solid arm or anything like that. Well, it's a weird thing. They can be solid when they want to. It has little to do with what we want, I think. It's more like if they decide that they're going to do it. But, now I'm gotten all sidetracked, but the money over people is bad. It's not, it's not doing any of us any good, I don't think. It's part of that consciousness thing. Like, a lot of people want to attribute it to stupidity or ignorance or something, and in cases that may be true of a person, but it's not relative to what I'm saying, because that's not why you can't agree and you can't get each other to understand. It is because you are literally not on the same wavelength. You are not vibrating at the same speed, so you're just not getting each other. And that can lead to frustration, which can lead to violence. Anger it's never good to be added to situations. Like, it just rarely goes well. And I think anger gets into it a lot, and when we get angry at other people, it's hard to remember, or if you don't know, get people to understand that getting mad at other people and hurting other people you're hurting yourself. It may not be immediate that you feel this, but it's gonna hurt you, because so many terrible reasons for doing it in the first place. Like, people didn't do anything to you to deserve the way you're treating them. Yeah, I mean, it elevates us in a certain way to have a lot of money and have the luxury items that make us look like money or whatever. But it does something bad to our personalities, I mean, I just had a vision of, like, Crocs in a landfill, because that's, like, they're so flash in the pan type pet rock crap. Like, ooh, this is a cool dingus of the moment, I gotta have it, or every style, every color, and then 5 years later the thrill is gone and the crap is useless and you toss it, or metaphor that. But I feel like we don't even, like, once we get it, it's like, ooh, wow. Something else now I have to get. This is junk. I really feel like that. And it's, I don't think it's helping our society. I don't think it's helping people. In fact, not just American society, because it's become what everyone does now, capitalism. And if you want an extreme case, let me bring up the war again between Russia and Ukraine. That is about acquiring, it's like, in fact, yeah, it is like, it is, my God, words, where have you gone? Colonization is not exactly the word that I want to use, but that's basically what they're doing, is just trying to move into this country, and they're literally doing the things that get done when a nation conquers another. They're trying to obliterate like all of the self of that nation under attack. They want to like delegitimize their nationality, erase their culture, and just like sort of taking a big dustpan and sweep them over into the Russian side of things. And they already kind of are, because their cultures are so intermixed, like literally physically intermixed. Like Ukrainian Russians and Russian Ukrainians, they're intermixed, like Mexican Americans, and you know what I mean? Like they're right there. They're getting each other. The citizens, the civilians, all of the like political stuff and organizations. The higher up you go, the less they have to do. And I'm now talking about like that country and my country. They seem to have these in common. The higher up in the government or whatever a person goes, it seems like the more they lose sight of where they came from and the values they had, and it all gets erased by this rat race to gain more money and stuff than whoever or whatever. And I just, it's so gross. It's so gross. I don't know how to make it better, and in fact I can't, because it comes back to that consciousness thing. That's what makes it better. And it is like completely the difference between wanting like 20 guns to protect yourself from people coming and taking your stuff, and just being like, everything is for everybody, it's cool, no reason to stress out, you don't need to take it all, it's always going to be here, leave some for somebody else, take a penny, leave a penny, what is it the trail markers say in the national parks? Leave it the way you found it. Like, we don't really take any of that to heart anymore, and there's so much dirt done to get the money, so much secrecy and so much crap that people are doing and hiding, and it's like, wow, that you wouldn't be doing all of that if you didn't care about the stupid money so much and having to hide how much you have from people so you don't have to share it. And you know why you're hiding it so you don't have to share it? Because that's wrong, and you shouldn't just keep it all. Yes, you have a family, but are they born all crippled in a coma or something? You can still give your loved ones that you leave behind, you can still like will them stuff. But I'm actually building up to something here, but it doesn't have to be at the expense, that's what I was trying to say, at the expense of other people. And that's kind of where it's all heading. It's like, other people are just unimportant. They're in the way of you getting what you want. And that's a terrible way to treat other people. And so what I'm gonna finally get to, and I think like everything for me that I have said all ties together, and it has an effect on the way that the world is right now, and the way we treat each other on a grand scale, and how we treat each other one-on-one as strangers, even how we treat each other one-on-one that we really, like, that we know each other. I was going to say that we really know each other, but that's a hard thing. And I think that for reasons beyond count we hide stuff from each other. But getting back to the capitalism money thing and how it's just sort of remade our thinking about humanity and life and valuing people and things. Because if you get all the money but you've destroyed, like, say you got your money from the land or something, but you, by taking whatever it was from the land, oil, water, logs, you are screwing up what you have gone in and ripped out, and you're trying to take all of the profit for yourself, and with no regard for the wreckage that leaves behind. When you like rip up roots, there was stuff there, like people had jobs, homes, lives, like eminent domain. It's like that mindset. And I'm not even talking about actual eminent domain. It's just like people get it in their heads, like, this is what I think should be done. I have the money to do it. I have no regard for what it's going to do to what the existing structure of things. And here's my point. We need to crack down on people that make too much money, that make so much money that in order to make sure their loved ones have something to inherit and it not be taxed while like the donor is still alive, or that the children, the people that receive the stuff in the will don't get taxed. And then also the not paying of the taxes and hiding the money. And then you still want to be here, you shitty person. That kind of thing is breaking everything else economically, because you're taking from the system for yourself and you're not putting anything back, and it just is not designed to work that way. Like, we started out where it was supposed to be kind of an equitable thing, and it's gotten like infected and just, I'm not going to say more words about the condition of the infection, because then it would just get mean. We don't need more of that, because all of that greed breeds mean too. And it like gives people that want the excuse for like kind of bullshit reasons of hating people for like race or whatever. I mean, the reason why black people are like so hated in this country, a lot of people will say, oh, they're not racist and this racism isn't happening. Be on the other side of it and see how you feel. Or even try to think about the other side, the people on the other side, and see how you feel. That would be helpful for everyone. But I really think that our financial system, our currency, it is changing, but it's going to be a long time before it changes into what I would like to see is basically a Star Trek economy. And before anyone bitches and complains about how there's still currency and all of that in the Federation, well, the Federation has to deal with entities outside of the Federation that are not in the Federation, that don't operate under the same system as the Federation. So in order to be a good citizen, to get along with other citizens of the, you name the place, whatever, then yes, you have to find a way to work with them on their level. You have to meet them on their terms. And that's okay. You can do that. Everyone doesn't have to do it your way because you said so or bow to you. And so I know people can't conceive of it. They think it's silly, but we are going to get there, because I have said this many times, but I'm more sure of it today than ever. When people are always asking for like alien disclosure and all that, I just have to say, you have been having exposure probably your whole life. We just don't think of things in terms of the way that like aliens do, because we're in a closed system here on Earth, and we have certain limitations and we can grow beyond them, but it may take many, many years or many, many lifetimes But shoot, I got sidetracked. Yeah, we can't conceive of it now, but we're gonna get there because it's the right thing to do. It's not right to treat each other the way that we've been treating each other for the spurious. Is that the right word? I guess it will work. Well, let me just get real simple with it. We have really dumb reasons for the way we treat each other, you know, whether it be racial or whatever. But it's like, the reason I started to say this with the black people, it's like they started out, some of them, hating us for a reason, but it's like that reason hasn't applied, and they can try to spin it any way they want. It's just not the same situation, and people are just used to it, I guess. Like, they don't know how to not hate people. It's just how they've always been. It's like a family thing. It's a tradition. But do you ever think about why you're doing that? Do you ever put yourself in the position of the black person and just say, well, wait a minute, what if it was me living that life? And if you can get there, then and you haven't believed in racism, even though the people being racisted are telling you this is the case for hundreds of years, like people that haven't known each other over the hundreds of years are all still saying the same thing. Why? Because it's still happening. It doesn't need to, and that's a change thing I think that we're now going through, and I think that's part of why I was so out of sorts for the past couple of days and didn't kind of realize why, because the quality of the feeling of out of sortsness was different. And I said this earlier, this is why I wanted to do this, was to share my insights and experiences with all of this changing, and just sort of pass on my feelings that they feel right to the best of my knowledge to go ahead and share out loud, or not even to the best of my knowledge, to the best of like what it feels like. Like this feels like a good and true thing to say. So it's difficult to conceive of, for me, that just in that one dynamic of like the black white thing, the race thing, and it's not like all black people and all white people, because plenty of us get along just fine. I mean, look at me, I'm the product of it. But the stuff that we separate ourselves with is often like so paper thin, like barely a thing. And same with the money. Like, we tell ourselves stuff, obviously, to make the rich people I'm talking about, to make themselves feel okay, because they know they're not doing right by other people. They know that they are taking away from other people, and by not paying taxes, for instance, they're not giving when they could be. And then if they just pay the taxes, oh my God, rich people, I hear it all the time, they think poor people or not rich people hate rich people because they're rich and because they have money. No, they dislike you because the money has made you dislikable. I'm not going to say that I hate somebody because they have money. I don't really want to say that I hate anybody. I don't want to say that I hate things. I don't want to say that I hate situations. I've already said that word too many times. It's not good to... If it was a bell, you don't want to keep ringing it. And that basically, if I can get it out... if I can get my diction to clean up... kind of encompasses everything I was talking about. I know it's really hard to care because we've gotten out of practice and we're like embarrassed or something, but as much as we want to say we don't, we do. I think the only people that really escape that are like psychopaths, because they physically can't. They can fake it though, like they kind of get it. So, what's wrong with you, rich people? Why can't you like stop basically hurting your? I'm rolling into the cornfield now, but stop hurting your brothers and sisters, man, because we don't have to grow up in the same house to be also human people, each other too. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, actually, I know this is true because it happens to me all the time. We get so wrapped up in our own stuff that we forget to care about other stuff that maybe we need to pay attention to. And people that are kind of screwing up society by their actions and sort of working the government to make it legal for them to screw up by their actions, everyone else, that's got to stop, because that's just going to make a big mess of, well, we're certainly not going to be the U.S. we once were. That's plain. That's over. And anyway, it is certainly time for someone else to take all of the blame and all of the power and all of the glory. Like, I personally think this country could just do with a big fat rest and pass over all of that hard work to somebody else and let them be the big deal. We got to fix our stuff here, because everything we've been doing has kind of been tearing ourselves down. And to make it even more confusing, there's the whole like everybody's meant to be doing this stuff. So it's almost like painful to try and think about this stuff, because there's so many angles to think about at once to make sense of. And I always think of like playing drums, because you're trying to get your brain to do all these different I don't know if you've ever played drums, but if you can learn to and do it any good, that's really an accomplishment, because you got, your four limbs going and your brain going and your ears going. Like, there's a lot of processes happening. So you could just sort of apply that metaphor to everything, because we do have a hand in things that happen. And even if we try to like go in and do some dirt and then walk sweeping behind our footsteps with a dust broom, there's still going to be evidence that something went wrong. Just like the hiding stuff from other people and hiding stuff from yourself, something's going to happen. It may not be something that everyone's going to be able to see, but it comes back to you, is what I'm saying. But I got off track because I'm trying to finish here. So what I started to say was, it gets all the more confusing because we actually signed up for all of it. We arranged all of it. We designed it. We are the architects. So it's that remembering thing, because when we're born, we know what we're going in, but when we come out, it's like most of us, part of the game is to forget all of it, and then through your life figure that shit out. Wow. I had some helpers along the way, but also sometimes you're born remembering stuff, and in my case, I had to be reminded along the way that what was happening was remembering. And I can't speak for how it's going to happen for anybody else, because I couldn't speak for how it happened to me, how it is happening. Oh God, I wish I could breathe better. Okay, I guess I could take some allergy medicine. I should probably do that. Anyway, I know that was messy. I hope that something of it made some sense, but I even have more to say about stuff. But I think, how long have I been talking? Woo, 44. I better go. Thank you, and good night. I'll say more another time.